Hi, I'm Gracie.
And I'm Callum. Both of our siblings died, so we decided to do what every 20-something's doing and start a podcast about it.
We talk about death, grief, and all the weird stuff that nobody warns you about.
It's not all heavy though. There's a bit of laughter, there'll be some swearing, but to be honest, there may be the occasional emotional gut punch.
We chat to people who've experienced grief, not always sibling grief, but always someone with an incredible story.
Should we get on with it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Today's guest is Kay Backhouse. In 2019, Kay's brother Syd died at the age of 35 after being diagnosed with a neuroendocrine tumour. That led Kay to write Losing You, Finding Me, a deeply personal book about her experience of grief and learning to live unapologetically. She's now retraining as a grief counsellor, and we're so glad that she's here with us today.
Thank you for joining us. How are you doing, Kay?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for having me.
How are you feeling ahead of this? I always find it it's quite difficult, isn't it, knowing you're entering a room to speak about grief and to speak about something that means so much to you. Are you okay? Are you nervous about it? Or?
Yeah, I'm okay. I do get nervous before I speak about anything in public, to be honest.
I think that's a good thing. I think that shows you care, doesn't it?
Yeah, but no, I do. Whenever I'm travelling somewhere, especially to speak specifically about this subject, I tend to feel Syd really close to me on those days too.
And does that feel special, or is that a bit like, oh no, I don't know if I can deal with this right now?
It feels special. Good. I feel I reconnect with him in a different way.
That's lovely. That's really nice.
So can you tell us a little bit about your story? So tell us about you and Syd, and it'd be great just to get a bit of a background.
Yeah. Do you want me to go right to the beginning?
Go right to the very beginning.
So were you close as siblings? Did you grow up very close? Or?
Yeah, so there's four of us all together. So I have two older brothers, Ben and Dylan, and then they were what I refer to as the first family for mum and dad. And then I came along 3 years later, and then Syd came along 4 years after me. So he was the baby of the family. So the two of us were very close because you can imagine a 5-year-old girl, a baby being born into the family. It was an instant doll. So I got to help out with changing the nappies, and I'd follow him around and follow my mum around, and basically became a bit of a second mum to him.
Wow.
Yeah, so we were very, very close growing up. We, as siblings do, we grew apart at certain parts of our lives. I got married quite young, and he was still 16 when I met my husband. My brother was. So we kind of had a stage where our life stages were completely different. And then I moved to Australia in 2007. And so we sort of grew apart again. Physically, we were apart. But what happened was we came closer together because we were so far apart physically. We had to find other ways of staying in touch and making sure we didn't, become too separated. But his cancer diagnosis that came in 2011 is what really brought us back together. So I was still in Australia at the time. And it was just like bolt out of the blue, really. He was 28. The only one of the four of us that didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't go out doing all the party stuff that we all did in our teens. He was kind of like the golden child of the family, which we used to wind him up about.
Well, Gracie and I have the same. Both our siblings were the
massive
golden child.
Like, Yeah.
So when you got that call, you were in Australia.
Yeah.
Your brother here in the UK. How did it feel having such distance, like physical distance? Did you feel like you needed to hop on a flight straight away? What was going through your head?
Yeah, I mean, I can remember the house we were living in when I got the call. I think you'll both relate, I'm sure. Everything just seems to zoom in and be really sharp in focus. And I did the whole, do I get on a plane, don't I get on a plane? I just basically had conversations with my parents about it. The decision was made not to jump on a plane. The first part of his treatment was quite quick. He had to have pretty horrific surgery pretty immediately within the first week or two. So that was tough. Now, he was very private kind of guy as well. And what shocked me the most at that time was he went on Facebook, which he never used to do. And, you know, when you used to put on Facebook, because it says what's on your mind, and he just put, it obviously said Syd Wilson has got cancer.
Really?
And that's
and that
what
was
he
totally
updated.
out of character?
Totally out of character. He didn't post anything on there. He used to just have a profile so you could see my photos
Why
in
do you
Australia.
think he did that?
I think he was so shocked. I think it was his way of going, this is how bad it is that I'm actually writing this on social media. And obviously there was lots of comments immediately. But yeah, it just seemed so, I just couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. Out of anyone in my family, just he's the last person.
And you mentioned that there were moments in your life where you grew apart, just naturally, physically. Did that diagnosis bring you back closer then? Did that create some kind of like glue that you know, you started rallying around each other?
Yeah, it was, I mean, I rang him a lot more. I was sending emails because it was more emails at the time. I don't think we even had WhatsApp or anything like that then.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a lot more calls, a lot more email. But then the conversations changed. It was deeper conversations, less, you know, chit-chat, superficial kind of how's the kids. You know, it wasn't that anymore. It was... Well, my husband used to joke that, God, you two, you just sit there talking about, you know, the deepest, meaningful conversations all of a sudden out of nowhere. But it wasn't out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It was just this sudden awareness that actually none of the other stuff matters. None of it.
That's amazing, though. A lot of people don't sort of have that attitude and still kind of almost want to put their head in the sand and not think about it. So it's nice that you felt like you were able to do that.
Yeah, and he got on a plane. Once he had his terminal diagnosis, they told him he had 2 years to live. That was in 2014. And my mum and dad sat him down and said, what do you want to do? He said, I want to go see my sister. And so they booked business class flights and they came out and saw us and stayed with us for 3 weeks. And that was the real moment of... But it was bittersweet because it was like we were so close, and that feeling of being back as we were as young kids, knowing that, you know, he might not be here one day was devastating for me.
And it must be really hard looking back at those memories as well.
Yeah, it was one of the reasons I wrote the book, to help me process a lot of that.
So you wrote a book which I think has... when I read the title of the book, I was like, that's such a good title, Losing You, Finding Me. Because when we speak about grief, like, often it can be, like, the narrative around it, I find, can also be that you lose yourself too, which you do, but sometimes you also find who you really are as well. So can you tell us a little bit about that book then? So why did you want to put pen to paper? Was it a kind of a cathartic exercise, or was it because you wanted to help other people?
Originally I wanted to write a book. I've always wanted to write a book since I was a child. I've always loved reading, and it's
Did you write a lot, like journal? And
yeah, I used to journal, but there was a gap in my life where I didn't do any of that. So it was kind of from my late teens through to my brother being diagnosed, to be honest. I refer to it as you end up in this invisible cage. So you get married, you have kids, you get the job, you chase the success, you try and make your parents proud and do all the things that you think you're supposed to do. And with that, I stopped reading, I stopped, you know, nothing, all that became important was just these things that society was telling me was going to make me happy, but none of it was. So when he was diagnosed, I started there was just a big shift in me of going, hang on a minute, this, you know, there's more to life. I need to get back to things that are important to me. And with that and getting back into the reading, I thought, I really want to write something. But at that time, I had no idea what I wanted to write about, not a clue. But I just thought something will happen, something will come. And then, of course, my brother's illness and our journey together. And I knew when he came for that visit in 2014, I was like, this is what I'm going to write about. Not yet, but this is what I'm going to write about.
So you knew at that point?
Yeah, I knew.
Wow.
But I knew it would be years away. I knew it would be, the conclusion would be he would be living or he'd be dead.
Wow.
There'd be a story to tell about
Oh my
it.
goodness, I got goosebumps then. That's amazing. That's so powerful that you already knew that there was a story there and you knew that that was something you wanted to get out into the world. What was the process of writing it like? Did you kind of leave a bit of a gap between when he passed away and when you started writing, or what was that?
Yeah, so he had, unbeknown to me really, he'd been excessively WhatsApp messaging me for years, that's how we communicated when he was unwell and when I'd moved back to England by then. So I moved back to England in 2017 and I didn't realise this, but he'd purposely been doing that so I would have a timeline to refer to for the book.
Really? So he knew?
Yeah. So but he didn't tell me that's why he was doing it. But now I look back at all the messages and I think, yeah, the descriptions he's giving me and the detail he's giving me is all so that I can write the genuine story. So there's probably 4 years of, the WhatsApps and the pictures and I worked in healthcare for a long time, so he also used me as his advocate with the healthcare professionals. So it was also a log of medications and like everything basically. So we had been doing that for a long period of time. When he first died, I was in shock, I think. I didn't pick up a pen. I didn't think I had the strength. I couldn't even speak at his funeral, which is very unlike me. I used to do public speaking for part of my job. Like, it's not a difficult thing for me. But I just couldn't do it. Someone had to read my words on my behalf, which I was also then devastated about because I couldn't do it. So I left it. And then, of course, 2020 happened. Everything stopped, the world came to a halt, and I got some space in my life to be able to start processing my grief because I wasn't processing it at all. It was just, it hijacked me completely.
And Syd died in 2019, didn't he? So he was diagnosed in 2011 and then found out he was terminal in 2014 and was given a couple of years left to live. And passed away in 2019.
Yeah. That's
a really long period, isn't it? Almost the entire decade before has been dealt with so many different health conditions, and that's a long time for it to be brewing in your head, right?
Yes.
Like a lot of ups and downs, I imagine.
Yes, and we also had a period of where it was improving, which made it even more devastating for me. So I feel like there was an element of denial there for me.
So when you say you felt like you just weren't coping, what did that look like for you? Was that just...
I had overwhelming panic and anxiety, couldn't leave the house at certain times. I was making very strange decisions and not functioning as well as I would normally. Syd's death was... a horrible death. He had a terrible death, and he was one of the rare people that was very aware of what was going on pretty much until the end. So that traumatised me. Yeah. So that's been a big part of my process, and my grief. I would refer to it as complex grief. Yeah. So that it was like I was frozen. Gosh. I was frozen. I don't have a lot of memories of that first year, 18 months following his death. It's only if I look at photos, then I know kind of what was happening. Because
you said earlier that there was such clarity when you got that call to say he was diagnosed. You remember the house you were in, you remember the moment, but after his death, that's just all gone. There's no memory. No, I just have odd memories because I know what we were doing at that time. So I'm aware that what we were doing at home through COVID, through lockdown, etc. But day to day, I just don't, And I was, drinking quite a lot, doing things to try and cope with how I was feeling, and
then there came a moment where basically I could hear Syd telling me what to do, essentially.
Wow.
So I looked back on his WhatsApp messages. I guess I was in a desperate place of thinking, I've got to do something about this. I can't stay in this place for the rest of my life because I might as well die with him.
Wow.
And I reread one of his messages, and I write about it in the book. I have a chapter in there called The Void. And I don't know how you in particular, Gracie, whether you spoke to Laura about, how you say to your sibling when they're still here that you're going to really miss them.
Yeah.
It's like the hardest thing to do. And I'd stopped myself from doing it for a long time. We spoke about death openly. We did speak about things, but I've struggled to say to his face, I'm going to really miss you when you're gone, because I didn't want to hurt him more. So I sent him a WhatsApp and put it in words about 2 weeks before his death. And I thought, because I need to say it to him, but maybe this is the easiest way to do it. So I wrote him a message, and part of his message back to me was, everything leaves a void. Wow. And I don't know if it was just that day when I read it, it really resonated. And I thought, everything leaves a void. And I thought, oh yeah, it's not when people leave you, there's a void there all the time. You shouldn't need a void to be filled by other people or other things or partners or children. So this is about me becoming whole as a person, because clearly I'm not. I'm relying on other people to fill this void in me. And something just clicked that day, and I picked up a pen.
Wow.
And I started to write ideas down, just ideas. I thought, don't put pressure on myself, but maybe there's something positive I can do that's going to lift me out of this and drive me forward, because I feel stuck. I just felt so stuck.
So for you, it was kind of like a lifeline that you needed to do that, to be able to kind of not close that chapter, but document it?
Yeah, document it, and it became a vehicle to sort of get me moving and stop me being in that stalled place. And it forced me to think, I need to take my brother's second chance at life here, because he had regrets, and that was painful to hear. And he wanted a second chance, and he didn't have one. So what was I doing, wasting mine? So the only way I could do that was to be as authentically me as possible, even if that meant some really challenging decisions in my life. So I challenged everything, my marriage, myself, everything, my work, everything. And I think people were, every week I was doing something different that people were like, what's going on? So I gave up drinking for a year.
Some people would say that's almost a midlife crisis.
Yeah, and I was the right age for a midlife crisis. So I think I'm still in it.
I'm in a midlife crisis, and I feel like I'm not quite at the right age yet. But I guess, like, a lot of people will resonate with those feelings that you've said, like especially the word stalled. Like, I think grief can stall you, can't it? And sometimes a lot of the time you just need to like sit down, let it happen, and that's okay. But you found something that took you out of that place where it perhaps became a bit too much, and you did need to start living again.
Yeah.
Would you recommend others start writing, or do you reckon it just worked for you in that moment?
Yeah, because I think people think, that you have to write like a whole book. Well, no, you don't need to do that. That was like a childhood dream of mine anyway. So it's kind of incorporating that. And I'd made a promise to Syd. He'd made me say to him, you will write this book when I'm not here. So it's kind of like, well, I've got to do it now.
He's a great brother.
He knew exactly what he was doing.
Guilt tripped you into doing it, basically.
But but I think writing in general, whether that be 3 lines on a page, journaling, but whatever, it is very therapeutic.
You've almost just fallen off.
I do keep nearly doing that.
It's really therapeutic. Journaling in any form, I think, is and getting the ideas and your emotions out onto the page can make you feel a sense of relief that you've moved them out of your body.
And it can almost validate them sometimes as well, can't it?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, and it's nice to look back sometimes at the patterns of what you wrote 3 years ago to where you are now can help you feel really proud of yourself. Or it may make you think, wow, I'm still in the same place. I need to do something about this. So it does help sort of timeline things for you.
It's also it's a document, isn't it? My mum wrote a book after Laura died, and it's a document of what happened, things that you would have forgotten by now.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have that. It's quite a comforting thing to be able to say, in 50 years' time, when I will have forgotten probably 70% of this, there's something tangible that you have. It's a nice feeling, I think.
I think it is, and it's a bit of a legacy, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, in 100 years' time, none of us will be here that are on this planet right now.
Yeah.
So, but that book will still be in the National Library.
Wow, yeah.
So that for me was like, there's for my children and their children, and it just carries on. There'll always be a piece of me and Syd that exists that's a tangible thing, like you said.
So how long did the actual process take you? Was it kind of, once you started, you sort of went straight to it, or did it take a while? Was it something you came back to a lot? Or?
Yeah, so it took me 2 years to write the manuscript, and that was with a 6-month break. So I took a 6-month break when it got to, so it was almost like a barometer for my healing and where I was at in the process. So when I got to a chapter that I was really finding tough emotionally, I'd put it down. I wouldn't force it. I'd put it down, step away, go do whatever it was I needed to do to process the emotion I was feeling, come back to it. So there was a bit of that. There was also the fighting with myself about I'm a perfectionist, so I'm a recovering one, as they say now. I am trying to recover from it. So I struggled with writing a messy draft and all of that. I don't do that. I like things to be...
Can I take a bit of that perfectionism?
Yeah, I'm so type A, and we've decided yesterday you're about type X, I think, something like that. So we could borrow some of that.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, it's good because it means that you do things to a high standard, which is wonderful. But it's
exhausting,
also
though, isn't
exhausting,
It's
and
knackering.
you
Everything
procrastinate.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Everything. So that taught me an awful lot about myself, because it made me realise, wow, this obviously holds me back quite a lot. But the process of writing, was nobody knew. I didn't tell anybody.
Oh, really?
So just my husband and my now adult children, they were aware, because obviously live in the same house, kind of important that they know what I'm doing. But outside of that, I didn't really discuss it with anybody else. Nobody read it before I sent it to the publisher.
Wow.
I did one test chapter with someone who's like a mentor for me, but other than that, I don't know, I just felt like...
Yeah.
And I felt like it was good.
Yeah,
I was like, it's good.
You knew
I know this is good.
Yeah.
I know this is good.
And not just good for others to read, but also good for you. It's helped you out so much, and it's brought you into a place, it sounds like it's brought you into a place where you're able to speak about these things, and you're able to understand certain emotions that you were facing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people with sibling bereavement and sibling grief, a lot of siblings can sometimes kind of feel a little bit overlooked in different ways. Can I ask about your experiences with that? Because both of you are obviously adults. Like, how did you find navigating sibling grief in that way?
Yeah, it's a good question, because when he died, I kind of didn't think sibling grief was a thing, if you know what I mean.
Until you're in that position, you never thought about it. It's weird, isn't
and then
it?
suddenly I was like, actually, my grief is different to my mum and dad's grief, and my brothers as well. Like, we grieve differently, even though they're siblings.
How so?
I mean, generally statement, but they're boys, so there is a difference between the way we process emotions.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
So I talk a lot more about it, and probably talk about Syd a lot more. Sometimes probably I do often have that passive thought of, oh my God, is this all I talk about?
Me too.
Do I go, when someone's telling you about...
Trust me, it's not as bad as us.
Oh God, I don't want people to think I'm That's all I talk about.
I feel like a broken record, honestly.
But why does it matter? Like, even if it is, like, I mean, ultimately, it's not what we all talk about. I doubt it's what you all, the only thing you talk about. But why, like, why should we care?
I don't. Yeah, it's a good point.
I feel like for me, it's almost become part of my identity.
Because it is.
Well, yeah. But I feel like people who haven't experienced grief, or specifically sibling grief, don't understand how monumentous that is in your life. That it shifts everything. I mean, for you, it's shifted, you know, your career, your releasing your book, kind of your life, everything. Certainly on paper, it seems like it's had such a massive effect on everything.
I'm like a different person in a lot of ways, but in the sense of I am more myself than I've ever been since I was a child.
Which a lot of people won't feel like that after a grief, and it's so...
In fact, it's a bit cringy when I look back at me before his death. So I always say it's like, you know, like when you're doing religious education at school, and they do the before Christ and the AD, like the... And I'm like, before cancer, after death. That is how it is for me. So the minute he died, that version of me ended, really. And a more real version began to emerge.
But it took time to get to that
Long
point.
time, yeah. I'd say it's still emerging. I think it's still emerging because I still have moments where I get sucked back into the, like... life sucks you back into certain ways, and then you think, oh no, this doesn't feel, but I can spot it quicker now. And I can think, this isn't for me, this doesn't feel right.
So when you say that, do you kind of mean like, certainly, because I can definitely relate to what you're saying, but from my perspective, I think before Laura got ill, it was like things are very materialistic, and it's you've got this chapter, and then you're going to do this, and then you're going to do that, and then I think losing somebody that you love, and especially, you know, I don't know what your experience was like, but brain tumours and anything like that is horrific. And seeing that, I think it does shift everything. And I remember going sort of back to school and hearing people talk about things that I just had no tolerance for or any patience, because it felt like everything had shifted. Is that kind of what you mean when you say that there's sort of a massive difference in that?
Yeah, huge difference. And I totally... relate to the no tolerance for, well, I won't swear, but Oh,
you can. It's fine. You're allowed.
No tolerance for bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just don't have any. Yeah. And that's why, like, I've taken myself off social media recently. Now, I've done that once before, and I did it for 6 months. And I find the noise gets too much for me, and I start to feel like I can't tolerate the noise in there. And I know there's some wonderful things about it, but at the moment I just need to not be there because it affects me. But before, I'd have just carried on even though it was affecting me negatively. Whereas now I just go, no, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't matter about... I can recognise that quicker. But yeah, I do totally relate. Syds' cancer wasn't a brain tumour, but his biggest tumour was in his chest here, and it grew so big that you could see it from the outside, and essentially it suffocated him. And that once I don't know how you ever go back to seeing life the same again. Everything is like my life is so much simpler now.
Wow.
I'm not interested in material things really at all. I just want a simple life with my dog and a book and my husband.
Maybe. Mother dog.
Mother dog. Dog's definite.
He's number one for everyone, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, you've met my dog, and I think he's your number one now.
He is my number one. They've got a new puppy, and I'm like, the best way to deal with anything bad in your life is just get a puppy.
Yeah,
I know that's not sustainable, but like...
I feel sorry for our dog because he absorbs all of he's our therapy dog for all four of us.
Oh dear. And it's not just the book. Of course, you're retraining as a grief counsellor. Can you tell us about what led you to that moment to say that you want to do that? I presume it's because you want to help others in that capacity, but that's incredibly difficult for you as well.
Yeah, I'm still asked. I was only asked this last week, by someone, I can't believe after what you've been through that this is what you do now for a job, like this is what you're working towards. And I knew I started volunteering basically after Syd died, because that was another element of my recovery, was to take myself out of my own head and help others and focus on other people, and that would help, as an element of the healing. And from there, I just got so much reward from helping other people. And I thought, because of my experience, I've got so much to give, and so much that I now understand through experience. And just like, when people say like a calling, that's what it felt like. I felt like I belonged. And I'd done 20 plus years in corporate world. And along with the materialistic side of it, I just had no tolerance. No tolerance for that anymore. It had always felt uncomfortable. I did help people in that role, but it was a profit-driven business. So that just wasn't for me anymore. So it was a big leap of faith, really. And obviously I've got to go back to study, and, that was a bit daunting as well. And it was 3 years that I've got to, I've had to take out of my life.
And have there ever been any moments within that where you felt this is too much, actually, or this conversation has sparked something inside me that really hurts? Like, have you ever had those moments?
No, I've not. I've found it. I've found the training therapeutic in itself, because as part of the training, it's a lot about personal development. So it helped me go, this, I can see how much the book has helped me. I can see how much so I've just relished every minute of it, to be honest. And not once have I thought, no, this isn't for me. And other people have, because it's such a tough course that people do go, actually, no, I don't think I'm in a good enough place to be able to offer this. But for me, it's just strengthened my belief in what I'm doing.
Wow.
And I feel really blessed that, because it's really hard to find something you love that much.
Yeah, absolutely it is, yeah.
And you've kind of got these pillars in your life, haven't you, that have helped you with the grief. You've got the pillar that is trying to help other people through the counselling, and then the pillar that's helping yourself through the writing. Where has it been a struggle? Have you had those moments where you're like, God, actually, I really do need support here? Because it feels like everything's on track.
I've had waves, the same way waves of grief come up. I've probably had one recently where I have felt the grief overtake me a little bit again. But it hasn't stopped me continuing doing what I'm doing. But my life is by no means perfect. No. And I've realised that it's a constant process forever. Absolutely. And that's fine. I'm okay with that now. Whereas before I wasn't. It was like you've got to work and work and work and strive until you achieve this amazing thing. And then you can go, look at me, I've achieved, everyone can be proud of me. Whereas now I'm like, no, I'm proud of myself all the time for just getting up and getting on.
As you should be.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. But it takes a long period of time to get to that point, to realise that you don't have to wake up one morning and go, okay, I'm done grieving.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really common misconception. Certainly I see it in people that I know that almost think, yeah, they were just your sibling. You'll wake up and you'll be fine. Yeah. And I think what you're doing is so important, because you're showing that it's a process. And it's something that will take a long period of time, because you won't be done.
No.
We'll never be done with it.
No.
And, to kind of almost bring it back to specifically sibling grief, I think what you're doing and in how you're then going to help other people, it's so important, because we don't talk enough about grief. We don't talk enough about sibling grief. And that, we were just talking before about being on BBC at the same week. And you made a joke about it being a good week for sibling grief awareness. But I think it's so important.
It is.
And what you're doing has the power to change so many lives. And
because the two of us were looking for voices that sounded like ours, not just the accent. But, I'm sure from what you've said to me and I've said to you, I was looking for people that had experienced something similar to me, so I didn't feel like I was on my own. And I think I write that in the start of my book, that I want people to not feel alone. I want because I felt alone at times. And yeah.
Do you find that, I mean, you know, you said that your grief is obviously very different to your parents' grief, as it's going to be. But do you sort of find that in doing what you've done, you've been able to kind of explain the difference between that? Do you know what I mean? In the difference between sort of losing a child versus losing a sibling?
Yeah, I think me and my parents talk openly about our grief. My dad's quite private with his grief, but he's openly emotional when we speak about certain things. We do. My mum hasn't read my book yet.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, so that's...
When did it come out?
2023, 3? I forget.
So it's been out...
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Do you struggle with that? Or?
No, I don't. I think I feel like there's a part of me that wants her to read it. And then there's a part of me that doesn't want her to read it, because I don't want to be the one to push her in any direction of where she's at in her grief process. And I think in relation to your question, that's the difference. I think there's not enough people that recognise that grief is unique to every individual, even one mum to another mum.
Absolutely.
So even if your mum and my mum met, their grief would be different.
Yeah.
Because your life is different, your history is different. You could have had different traumas in your life. You could have had all sorts of different, nuances and variabilities. And so I think the uniqueness is what's important. So when Mum says she's still not read my book, because she always tells me, I still haven't read it yet.
Do you think that's guilt?
Yeah, I think she feels like she don't want me to think that, she's avoiding it on purpose. She has to be ready when she's ready.
Yeah.
And that's not up to me. So I can't force that. And I would not want her to read it until she's ready, because it will be extremely emotional. Her words were, it's very close to the bone. But it is a hopeful, joyful book in many ways.
Yeah.
It's not...
Well, you can tell just by the title.
Yeah,
can't you?
absolutely.
Yeah. And it's in 3 parts, so it's kind of the beginning, the middle, the end, and it takes you through the whole lot. And it's very much about family and relationships and life in general, not just about death.
Absolutely. And what it feels, I almost feel weird asking what advice would you give to other people, because I guess everyone has a totally different experience. I've said this on the podcast a million times, but I love the quote. There's as many ways of grieving as there are people in the world, because we all grieve totally differently. We'll have different things that help us, different things that won't. And I imagine a lot of people will resonate with a lot of the things you've said. But what advice would you give to someone who is listening to this, who is perhaps stalling, who is perhaps struggling to have those conversations, or struggling to write down those feelings on paper? How do you suggest that they maybe can find a way to help themselves?
I had that day where I read Syds' text, his WhatsApp, and that changed everything for me. So I would say just keep moving.
Just
keep moving.
I like that.
Pick something up, get in the shower, however big or small it is. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Just keep moving. It can save your life. Yeah. Just a small thing. Me picking the phone up that day and looking at it. Why did I do that?
Yeah.
I just scroll back.
So if you were to speak to yourself 5 years, well, probably 10 years before, what is that the same advice that you would give to yourself there? Just keep moving, or would you have different advice kind of specifically for you?
Yeah, I'd say don't wait till someone's dying to sort your life out.
Wow. God, now I feel like I need to sort my life out and someone's died. Can you guide me through, Kay, please?
And it's up to you.
Yeah.
It's up to you. It's your journey. It's not anybody else's.
Yeah.
You come in this world on your own, you'll go on your own. You've got to be comfortable with the decisions you make for you, not about making other people happy or comfortable.
powerful, and there's many things going through my head now that I'm gonna go away and write about it.
I expect a book in a couple of years.
I will never be able to write a book because I'd get bored after page like 4.
Callum's attention span
is it lacks. Let me stop that bit. We're asking all our guests the same questions, and I think I can predict some of the answers to these. But how has grief changed you?
How has grief changed me?
In a nutshell, because there must be, you could write a book about it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the most me I've ever been because of it. So I guess I'm still trying to take a positive there, aren't I?
It sounds very positive.
But it is, it's as horrific as grief is, and if you could take it away from me, I would gladly give you the painful part of grief, but there's some wonderful things that have come out of it.
Yeah. A lot of people feel that, but feel almost ashamed to admit that.
Yeah.
I definitely did for a while, but I think it's okay to think that.
It's okay to smile again,
Yeah.
Even when sometimes it feels like you can't, hey?
Yeah.
But it will come.
Or smile and cry at the same time. I'm quite good at ugly crying.
That's why I try not to do it. If you had sort of one or a couple of things that you wanted to say, what do you wish, regardless as to anything else, what do you wish people knew about Syd?
That he was one of the funniest people on this planet. Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. And I miss that the most about him.
Really?
No, I don't share that with anybody.
Did you have the same sense of humour?
Yeah, exactly the same. And it was a little bit weird at times. So I find it really hard to share that with anybody else. And for the very first time, I read a book the other day called A Beginner's Guide to Dying, and it's somebody's experience. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have. God, this is so sad that we've all seen this.
Oh my goodness, it's the first book about dying by someone who's dying that made me laugh so much because his humour was the same as Syd.
Yeah.
Really?
And that's the first time I've had that in 6 years. And it was wonderful.
It's a brilliant book, isn't it? I did get past page 4 on that. So.
Yeah, very good.
What advice would you give to yourself before you had experienced grief?
Don't lose touch with the child version of you.
Do you think the child version of you is the most real version of you then?
Yeah. And that's the bit I've been reunited with since then, but I shouldn't have waited till something really bad happened.
Okay, this has been such a brilliant chat. I feel like...
we need to sit down and just be in silence for a minute, just process everything.
Just to think about everything. But I think that your story and your outlook on all of this can show us all and perhaps emphasise those moments in us when, like, grief can bring a bit of joy. It can bring life. It can tell you who you are. And thank you for helping us realise that too. It's, been amazing.
You.
It's been a pleasure, honestly. I feel like this has been like free therapy, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's been wonderful. You've been amazing. Thank you.
And a reminder that if anyone does want to read your book, Losing You, Finding Me, they can find it in all good bookstores, find it online.
Yeah, find it online, yeah.
Amazing.
So website or online in any good bookstore, it'll come up in a search,
Absolutely. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kay.
Thanks.
We're so incredibly grateful for all of your support, and we hope that this episode and all of our other episodes have given you a laugh or maybe helped you in some way.
We'd also like to thank ACT, an independent charity of the Ardonna Group, for supporting the making of this podcast.
And please tell your family, your friends, even your dead relatives, okay, well, maybe not them, about this podcast. Get them to subscribe, and you can even send in a message with some ideas as well.
And have a read of the show notes below and follow us on social media. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, tell us you hate us, you love us, you want us to shut up, please drop us an email or a DM.
Don't tell us you hate us because, that'll make
we might cry.
Yeah, that'll make me feel sad. But thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.